Welcome to Overtime with Jared P. and Johnny O. Exciting show. Episode 38. We're going to talk about Shedeur Sanders and the fallout from his fallout in the NFL draft. And then we're going to talk about some more in-depth about the NFL draft, maybe some winners, some losers, our takeaway from the NFL draft. And then we'll finish up with the NBA playoffs, where really one storyline seems to be emerging: the LA Lakers, a total incomplete disgrace. Anyway, I know you're a big Lakers fan, so I had to get that little jab in there.
You love that, man. You love that. Did I mention that the Eagles won the Super Bowl this past
congrats.
year? Okay.
They earned it.
Right.
They deserve it. I don't hate the Eagles. I hate LeBron.
Right.
So
how about you? Enough of your crap, and let's get on to the title sponsor here. Estate Jewelry alone. Brian has something old and something new. Estate Jewelry has a great selection of new and estate jewelry, and you can really find a unique piece for any occasion. His showroom is beautiful and has lots to choose from. It's a very cool little local jewelry store. Estate Jewelry, diamonds, watches, check them out at 2511 Battleground Ave and also at estateJewelryLoan.com. And Brian also has his hands in on Salsarita's Fresh Mexican Grill, located in High Point at the Palladium and in Greensboro in the Target Shopping Center on New Garden Road. He's got food trucks, catering, daily specials. You can find them, like I said, on New Garden Road, and go to salsaritas.com. That's salsaritas.com to check out their menu.
all right, so Shedeur Sanders, it seemed as if ESPN and other media outlets were scared to say what was actually going on. The fact that, in my understanding, went into interviews. Some say initially purposely trying to tank interviews because he didn't want to go to certain teams. Looked disinterested in some of the reports. Not prepared with Brian Daboll with the Giants. It was rude to Brian Daboll. Brian Daboll is not confirming that, but somebody in the room was saying that he was rude. They had multiple meetings, and I think he asked him to be prepared for something for the next meeting, and he wasn't. And he said, I don't like the fact that you're not prepared. And they kind of had a back and forth. And so, to me, overall, this is on Shedeur Sanders and Deion Sanders, who I like. Deion Sanders, I don't have anything against Shedeur Sanders except for he's a Nepo kid. I mean, and Nepo kids they have so many advantages, but sometimes their advantages are disadvantages because they're used to getting everything handed to them. You got handed the Jackson State job, you got handed the Colorado job, and he did an excellent job at both. He certainly has talent, and no one had him outside of the first round. I think the lowest mock I saw was 19, or maybe it was the average was drafted at 19. Some had him as high as 5, depending on the team. And also, little nugget, Deion Sanders was his agent. No agent. So that clearly isn't the path forward for him. Shiloh Sanders, his other son, signed as a free agent after the draft, and he's like, that didn't work out too well. I'm hiring an agent. And so
he fired Dad. He did.
But bottom line is, if he was a generational talent, they don't care if he was unprepared. They don't care. He might slide a little bit. He would have been a first-round pick. He's not a generational talent. He's a borderline starter, in my opinion. Time will tell. But if he was like a can't-miss prospect, like an Andrew Luck, or even like a Jane Daniels, I'm sorry, or even like kind of even a Drake May, they're not going to fall to the 5th round, in my opinion. But I think the attitude really turned people off. What do you think?
I agree with the attitude, but I will first say, like you, huge Deion Sanders fan. I think he's done great for college football. He did great at Jackson State, and he did a wonderful job at Colorado. Shedeur is a hell of a quarterback, man. I watched every one of his games because of all the rah-rah, all the celebrity type stuff behind Colorado. I started watching it and I got hooked. Right. And he's a great, I don't want to say great, but man, he is one hell of a quarterback because he never had protection for these last couple of years. Never. He was running for his life and he still was completing 73% of his passes. I'm looking forward to having him have some protection because I really think he can turn out to be the best quarterback out of this class. Okay. I just watched ESPN earlier, the 6 o'clock ESPN. Okay. It got to be 6:22. They had not mentioned Cam Ward yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's the number 1 pick. They don't even mention. They're not saying anything about him, and I'm not that impressed with Cam Ward anyway. But I'm hoping for the best. I mean, he's a good guy, and he came from being nothing in high school because no one was recruiting him to the number 1 pick. So I give him a lot of credit. But back to Shedeur, I couldn't believe he dropped down to 144th pick. I just kept going and going and going. And when I saw Dillon Gabriel Dillon Gabriel and what's his name? Jalen Milroe get in front of Shedeur, I said, what is going on? Okay. I don't know. I still don't know, but obviously it was the whole process before draft. So he did something wrong, but now he's out to prove himself. And I think he's going to come out with a vengeance, man. Because, now we got the Cleveland quarterback room with who? Well, first of all, Cleveland, I'm happy that he went to Cleveland, but they have 2 rookie quarterbacks. I don't think that's ever been done before. Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur are going to be battling for, I guess, the number 2 spot behind Joe Flacco. And, of course, Deshaun Watson is there, but he's gone. He won't take another snap for Cleveland because they're just
they can't get rid of his contract. Yeah,
and they got Kenny Pickett, who went from the Pittsburgh starter to the backup for the Philadelphia Eagles and won a Super Bowl ring to Cleveland. So I guess they're going to trade him or do something with him. I mean, they're like just pieces of the puzzle. They just kind of flop them all over the place. But my deal with him, he's going to turn out to be the best in the class. Let's keep this tape. I really believe that he's got enough to be a really, really good, solid NFL quarterback, especially for the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, I mean, there is a chance that he doesn't ever play for Cleveland. I mean, with 5 quarterbacks, they could use him because, as you go through training camp, you get in the season, there's injuries. They're going to have a plethora of quarterbacks. Usually teams, they have 2 quarterbacks during the season, sometimes 3, usually 2. So probably 2 to 3 are going to be gone. So 2 for sure. And I don't think it's guaranteed he's the backup quarterback. He probably will be. I think Flacco's going to win the job. He has so much experience, and
he'll be the starter to get
started going. And then, there'll be probably a short leash. I do like that he went to a Kevin Stefanski team. I mean, he's a great offensive mind, and they've got a good. Their problem there has been quarterback.
Yeah,
they have a great defense. The defense is getting better, and so the problem has been quarterback. And now they got five problems to sort out. It's crazy to me. I've never heard of a 5 quarterback room.
This is the most bizarre weekend of an NFL draft I've ever seen in our lives, man. I mean, come on, it's just crazy. And again, Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur, I don't know what's going to happen there, but I'm pretty sure they're going to get rid of Kenny Pickett, and who's not a bad quarterback. I mean, he might be better than both of those guys.
Yeah, he'll get picked up.
Yep, but
I think right now he probably is. He's seen NFL action. Yeah, so the Shedeur Sanders thing, and we're going to go in a little deeper dive on the NFL draft here in just 1 second, but a little teaser to me, in my opinion. What a blessing for the NFL draft that he fell. Otherwise, it's a snooze fest.
I know.
This year's draft. Yeah. I mean, I watched it to be like, what? He's still not drafted? I sat there and watched for 2 straight hours, and they got into the 5th round. I'm like, oh my, he might not get drafted. And then he got drafted. But
I kept going back and forth. And because the draft can be I'm not a big draft watcher, but that made me watch the draft. It really did. And you know what? Let's give them credit. Okay. When he did get drafted, He looked as excited as if he was the number one pick in the NFL
Yes.
draft. I thought that
Yep.
was kind of cool.
He has said all the right things publicly, including the prank call heard around the world, which we need to get into as after we hit on some of our sponsors here real quick.
That was nasty, man.
Yeah, I have a different opinion on it. I loved it. I thought it was terrific. I do. I think it was hilarious. All right, and I have a reason for it. I think in certain situations or circumstances, it's really ugly. In this one, it's not. And I have a reason. I have a reason for it. We want to thank our sponsors. We have such great sponsors. You want to be a part of the podcast and be a sponsor. We have tremendous reach. I'm just sharing that with you with all of our social media platforms, the streaming platforms, and people definitely get bang for their buck. So definitely, and we like to support these companies. But we have Surf Hippie Fishing, all your surfing, your fishing needs, whether it's going fishing tournaments, fishing gear, fishing tools, fishing carts, fishing poles. They do it all. Fishing pole, rod holders, all of it. Surf Hippie Fishing with the PH.com. Elite Performance Chiropractic, former professional football player Jeremy Phillips. He has two great locations, Greensboro and Winston-Salem. Get you feeling better than ever with state-of-the-art, not only equipment, but techniques that he learned in the pros, which, talk about getting a tremendous service when somebody actually knows what they're doing.
This area is lucky to have him in this area.
Yes, it is. Yeah. This is stuff they did with professional athletes and still do for professional athletes to get them back on the field. But this is for, you're not playing professional sport, but if you're, have issues, they get you feeling better than ever. Who else you got, Johnny?
We got Pure Energy Fitness. Blaze Thompson has spent 25 years helping everyone from beginners to pro athletes build strength, resilience, and lifelong fitness through smart functioning training. At Pure Energy, they prepare you for the seasons of life by igniting your pure energy, one rep at a time from the inside out. Go to pureenergyfitness.com, and they are located in Greensboro, right off of Lawndale Drive, real easy to get to. Jimmy Snow up north with Imperial Marketing Solutions, sale of equipment sales of new reconditioned computer, IT hardware, reconditioned equal to brand spanking new. He gives a 3-year warranty, out-of-state drop shipping, and payment terms available. Jimmy Snow at 315-345-8349. We got Tee It Up Indoor Golf on Battleground Ave. He's got 3 new simulators now with over 100,000 golf courses to play. Davis Troxler, the owner up there, tell him that we sent you. He's got beer and wine and all kinds of drinks up there. You play a little golf, full golf store inside, and I bought a nice driver off him. If you want, he's got all the right equipment. So go see Tee It Up Indoor and Davis Troxler on Battleground. Shank and Torrance Insurance, located in Greensboro, but they serve the entire Triad and state. Brian Torrance specializes in personal insurance, including auto, homeowners, and life insurance. Call him at 336-310-1320 for all your insurance needs. And I think that's it.
Yeah. Again, if you want to be a part of it, go to Overtime with Jared P. and Johnny O, any of our social media, or email Johnny at sportscarolina@gmail.com, sportscarolina@gmail.com. All right, the prank heard round the world with Shedeur Sanders. My take on it is I loved it. I think it's great. I think it's hilarious. I think it's harmless. And the reason I think so, now, if let's say there was a prospect that was more than likely not going to be drafted, and you call this prospect and say, hey, we're about to draft you, and they're like, oh my gosh, and maybe they come from a normal family, middle class or lower, and they don't have money, and this is going to change their life forever, and they're on the cusp, of being drafted. That's cruel. To me, that'd be very cruel to do.
Yeah.
Do it to Deion Sanders, who all the reports are or not Deion Sanders, Shedeur Sanders. All the reports are he's been arrogant. He's been, taking advantage of his dad's position and who his dad is. And the fact that he's already a multi-millionaire, Shedeur Sanders, and he's going to get drafted, he's going to play and have an NFL career, then to me, it's just funny. It's stupid. And the guy was 21 years old. It's the defensive coordinator or assistant defensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons. And the kid's name's Jackson Ulbrich. He's 21 years old, and he's apologized and then all this stuff. He got the phone number from his dad's iPad. It had the draft list, and he wasn't supposed to have it. The thing that's real stupid, they filmed it.
Oh,
they filmed themselves pranking. I mean, that's what it is now. Everyone wants a viral video. He couldn't go any more viral than he did. But if I was his dad, though, I'd be so upset because you're like putting my job at jeopardy. But as far as just a prank on itself, as someone who in my career has done a lot of prank calls, but I wouldn't do it to somebody that's on the cusp because to me, it's too cruel. Yeah. This guy, he's going to be fine. What do you think?
He did. I mean, we can say it's funny, and you're right because we knew Shedeur was going to get drafted, but man, he didn't get drafted till the 5th round, so it wasn't that funny, I mean, because we were thinking he was going to go a lot earlier than that. So, you can balance that a little bit, but it ended up being okay. And like you said, Shedeur is going to be fine. He did it to a couple other guys too, and including, I'm not sure if it was him that did it, but the Syracuse quarterback, Kyle McCord, got drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles, and he got a prank call like 2 or 3 hours before, and it was the same type thing, but I guess he figured it out. It was a crank call, halfway through. But so it was going on out there. I mean, it's crazy. This world, my God, can't you just leave that alone? But
I know. Well, it's funny though, the reaction on a lot of the, ESPN and Fox and stuff is that it was the worst thing ever. And then their reaction to like actual scandals and like really bad behavior of some NFL players is much more muted. It was just kind of like, this doesn't quite fit the crime. It's a prank call. He's 21. He apologized. It was dumb. And Shedeur, to his credit, didn't say anything bad about it. Nope. Didn't you say, "Oh, how dare you?" It's just like, it is what it is, and he just rolled with it.
He rolled with it. And let me also, then we'll get off Shedeur but this will be the talk for the rest of the year. He's never been in trouble, man. I mean, he's a good kid. He's I know he likes to flash his watch and all that. I mean, he's got money, and Dion was like that, man. I mean, Dion was a showman, and it's enjoyable, especially now, with social media and all that. I mean, he's a very popular guy, but he hasn't been in trouble yet. So that's a good thing. Let's give him kudos on that too. So there's a lot worse out there. But and even the guys in the NFL that have been drafted in the past have been arrested, gone
to jail,
went to jail, this and that, but they still got drafted, because the NFL wants the best player they can possibly get. So it goes both ways on that, I guess.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what happens. All right, so the NFL draft. What are some of your takeaways from the draft?
It's just amazing. I guess I love that Travis Hunter went to Jacksonville. I think he is a true number 2 pick. He's just such a great football player. So that's going to bring some excitement to Jacksonville and going to help what's his name, Lawrence, a lot, I think. So and it's going to bring some excitement to Jacksonville and the NFL because I think the kid really is a hell of a football player, and I hope he does get to play both ways. Maybe, 1 or 2 play, certain plays on defense, but I'd like to see him at wide receiver more. My take is, I'm looking at, again, I know I already mentioned this, but Cam Ward was the number 1 pick and no one's even talking about it. Okay. Yeah. But then you got, it really was a weak quarterback class. Jackson Dart, don't get me wrong, Ole Miss, he went to the Giants. I have no idea. I watched SEC football, but I didn't. When I saw him play, I didn't say, "Ooh, I can't wait to see him in the NFL." Yeah. Tyler Schaff from Louisville went to New Orleans, that's where I thought Shedeur was going to go in that number 9 pick. Jalen Milroe, the Seahawks grabbed him, and when he went in front of Sanders, that just blew my mind. And then Dylan Gabriel, I think is a hell of a college quarterback, but he gets picked by the Browns, and I don't see him as an NFL quarterback. My man Kyle McCord, he's not a running quarterback. He's a drop back quarterback. So he'll be the backup for the Eagles, which is kind of cool. Will Howard, who Kyle McCord was the Ohio State starter that went 11-1 2 years ago. Then he transferred to Syracuse and did a hell of a job for Syracuse. And Will Howard took over for Ohio State and won the national championship, of course. He went right after Kyle McCord, so McCord got drafted ahead of him. There's no rhyme or reason. It's kind of crazy. And then Riley Leonard from Notre Dame and Quinn Ewers. Oh, here's what I want to discuss with you. Quinn Ewers from Texas gets drafted almost last. Okay, how the hell did he play in front of Arch Manning for 2 years? If he was a number 2 or 3 pick in the draft, I would say, okay, Arch, now I know why you sat for 2 years. This guy barely made the draft.
Yeah. So what's going on with Arch Manning? Now, did Arch Manning transfer to Ole Miss?
No.
Did I
no, Arch Manning, he's still at Texas. No, okay. that was a bull crap. They did come out with that. It was
like April Fools or something, or there was a rumor.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah. I think it was.
Okay. Yeah. What's going on with Arch Manning? Because Texas wants to win, and they did win a lot with Ewers. But it's interesting. No, I think it's great takeaways from the draft. Again, otherwise it would have been a snooze fest without the Shedeur Sanders drama and the prank calls and the when will he be drafted type of thing. And the ratings, I think, for what I've read, were bigger than they thought it would be, considering there was really no other storylines. Cam Ward, I disagree with you. I think Cam Ward's going to be a solid NFL quarterback.
Think so?
Like he was. I mean, how many weeks did we come in here during the football season? It's like Cam Ward, 358 yards, 70% completions, 4 touchdowns, and 2 rushing touchdowns. I mean, the dude puts up numbers. He can move the ball. He can make all the throws, and all his interviews, because some people try to make this not about football with Shedeur Sanders. There's some theories about, is this the NFL and being racist? And it was like the number 1 pick was Cam Ward. And
right.
So that was kind of a, one of those race baiting type of segments that come out. You're like, really? But I think Cam Ward, now, is he an Andrew Luck? No, but who is? Is he, who knows? But I think he is the type of prototypical, almost like your boy Jalen Hurts, but probably he reminds me of Jalen Hurts. Like, he came in the NFL. I don't think people were like, oh, he's going to lead teams to the Super Bowl, let alone 2 Super Bowls and win 1 in the first 5 years. But yeah, as far as just being excited, but the media never talked about Cam Ward, even when he's put on these huge numbers, and maybe that's part of being with the ACC and things. So I think he'll be all right. I thought one of the best moments, well, there's a couple moments, and I forget one of the guys' names, but Cam Skadabo from Arizona State.
Yeah, the running back, right?
The running back.
Yeah.
I mean, he was so emotional when he was drafted. And,
I love that.
And then he was like, in college, just came out of nowhere and had, great seasons and put up big numbers. I think it's the first running back since Christian McCaffrey to have 1,000 yards rushing and like 500 yards receiving. He had some sort of record. That was the last person to do it was Christian McCaffrey. So he's got some skills, probably more of a third down back. But and then there was a player, I forget his name. Please forgive me. But you see where the day he was drafted, his mom saw him get drafted, then she passed away.
Yes.
He was sick.
Oh my gosh, that made I couldn't believe when I heard that the next early morning she died, man. It was unbelievable. Wow. Yeah, that was pretty powerful.
It was. And I thought the NFL did a great job with, one, that they moved it from city to city. And it was at Green Bay. I've been to Lambeau Field, not for a game, unfortunately, but years ago, did a tour of Lambeau Field. A buddy of mine got married in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And then we had an extra day. So we're like, let's drive 2 hours to Green Bay. And at the time, there's Brett Favre Steakhouse. He had just left, but steakhouse right there. They have the Butterburgers place right next door to the stadium. And the city, I don't think they had a building more than 3 stories, except for the stadium. And the stadium is beautiful. And underneath it, they have the Hall of Fame. And they had they had all the Super Bowl trophies down there and all sorts of memorabilia, including like a mock-up of Green Bay's coach. Oh my gosh,
Um,
Lombardi's
yep.
office.
Oh yeah.
Lombardi's office, the way it was, they had his desk in there, the phone, some of his plays on the board. It was really cool to see. But have it there, and then they would, because the NFL is trying to go international, like, all right, let's go to Chile, and they'd have somebody from, like, we're here for the Raiders, or whatever, and they do it, in Spanish or French or wherever they were. I was like, just the logistics of that alone to me is mind-boggling, to make sure all that worked on a live show. But I loved it. I thought that added some interesting elements to an otherwise non-big name player draft.
I agree with you 100%, man. The production was absolutely fantastic. Going from these different countries and everything, it was really neat. And back to Green Bay, I mean, when you say Green Bay, I don't care if you're not even a football fan, you think football when Green Bay. But I heard this little stat, I guess. There's 125,000 people in Green Bay. Their population is 125,000 people. 250,000 came into Green Bay for that draft. I mean, and they were like, where the hell are we putting all these people?
Right. Right. That's insane.
That is insane.
Green Bay is a cool town. We were just there for the day, and it was just, it's like you would think. It's like a quaint Midwestern town, and it was all about the Packers everywhere you went. And the food, boy, if you live there for a while, you're definitely going to have a heart attack. But the butter burgers are famous for. They put butter on the burgers, cheeseburgers. It was so good. But yeah, I thought, it'll be interesting to see what comes out of this draft, because there will be surprises. There'll be some Hall of Fame player that comes out of nowhere. It always happens. I did hear a stat, though, Johnny, and I don't remember it 100%, that I thought was interesting. This is more of a Johnny O stat, that quarterbacks from like 1970 that were drafted 5th round or later, none of them have made it to the Hall of Fame. I mean, not 5th round. No, that's not true. 5th round or later. Only like 1 or 2 have had successful long-term careers.
Okay.
And I kind of botched that stat a little bit, but then people are saying, well, Shedeur was not a 5th round pick. He fell because of his attitude. He's a 1st round talent. Yeah. So we'll see. I think I botched that a little bit, but it was just saying, as far as being a successful starter, after the 5th round, you have Tom Brady, you have Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's very rare to have any sort of success.
Yeah.
It was like 10% end up having a long-term career in NFL.
But,
different circumstances, for sure.
It's amazing how many players each team gets, because the draft is so long. But there's a lot of players on an NFL team, but it's pretty wild. Like basketball only has 2 rounds.
Right.
Now baseball has a boatload of rounds, like 30 rounds, because there's so many minor league teams. But football is in a class by itself when it comes to this kind of stuff, and the production of it, and just making it exciting. Real quick, the Panthers, I like that they went out and grabbed a receiver. Give Bryce Young some, give him some targets. Yes. This kid is out of Arizona. I really don't know how to say his first name yet, but I'm hoping that we learn it in a hurry, because he catches a lot of passes. Tuturoa McMillan, 6'6", 210, 6'6" wide receiver.
Wow.
Yeah. And I guarantee you, maybe not his rookie year, but that following year, that 210 might turn into about 225 or 230.
Yeah, right.
He's going to have to, or else he'll break in two. But that's a nice pickup. I kind of liked what they did there.
No, I'm a Commanders fan, you're an Eagles fan, but it's always better in this area when the Panthers are good. I don't want them to be bad. And I think they showed some signs of life. I think Bryce Young definitely showed some signs of life. Hey, helps if you have some time to throw the ball. And then they had some good, I think, defensive draft selections. But yeah, you got to have some playmakers on the offensive side of the ball and make it easier for him. So, no, I love it. I mean, I think they did a great job. I think they were graded by some as like having an A draft or A+ draft.
Yeah.
Which we haven't heard that in a long time. So.
And my boy Howie Roseman, the GM for the Eagles, had a hell of a draft again, to be honest with you, because he's just filling in these holes. He just knows how to do it. And the crazy thing about what they're doing is next year they already have I think they have 16 draft choices for next year already. I mean, that's
Yeah.
how he is a genius, and I, but
Yep.
you got to get lucky on some of these players too. You don't know if they're gonna pan out or whatever. But the way he scrambles around with the draft, he does a very nice job with the draft. So that's gonna be interesting. And one other tidbit in 2026 draft, this is what I'm talking about. The number one pick that they're already saying next year, Arch Manning. So he's the number one
Really?
pick, in 2026, and he's going to have 1 year under his belt, but he couldn't beat out Quinn Ewers.
That's wild to me. All right, Johnny, I was listening, but I got the stat. All right, since 1971, there's been no quarterbacks drafted who have been inducted into the Hall of Fame because Tom Brady hasn't been out for 5 years yet. He will be the only one.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, and now in all of NFL history, and the draft was different then. There's only been one quarterback, and it was in 1947, who was drafted in 7th round, who is in the Hall of Fame. So, fifth round or later, only one Hall of Fame quarterback, and so it's iffy, but Hall of Fame, that's also a big deal,
absolutely. No, that's interesting. Wow.
But not one. With all these people, you would think that there'd be one. Tom Brady will be the first one since the merger in 70 or 71. All right, let's do a little bit of NBA playoffs. I know you're a little bit older than me. You get a little tired for about 30 minutes of talking.
I'm starting to lose it a little bit.
Take a blue pill. Wait, no, that's something.
And the story is not the Lakers. I mean, why they're down 3-1. They haven't lost yet. Come on,
that's the story.
Man.
Everything else is chalk, right? Or everything else is
the Knicks in Detroit. That's a heck of a series. They're fighting and battling and going after each other. But you're right. The OKC swept Memphis like they didn't even show up. My God, they crushed them. Pacers over the Bucks 3-1. Lillard's out for the rest. He tore his Achilles.
It's a career.
Now the Warriors and Rockets is a nice series. That's going to be they play tonight, and I guess Jimmy Butler is going to be back in the lineup. And before you start, crapping on my Lakers, I did watch the Warriors the other night. And I love watching them. It's so hard to do. I love the Warriors. I mean, I don't know anyone that does not like Steph Curry. They got a freaking problem, man. Because that kid is just like the ultimate athlete that we want every one of our kids to turn out to be. He was on fire, man. How does he do it? They stopped him in the first quarter. They were face checking him the whole quarter. He had 2 points in the first quarter. He wasn't touching the ball. And I'm like, oh my God, this is going to suck. He ended up with 38.
I know. And the level of difficulty of the shots he makes, not just threes. I mean, some of those floaters and in the lane finishes over people.
How about the handle? How about his handle?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Greatest shooter of all time.
But all right, go ahead. Go ahead with your Timberwolves. All of a sudden, you're a Timberwolf fan.
No, I'm not. I just don't like LeBron. I think LeBron. I think if they lose here, and he never wins another championship, I mean, I think he then falls. Some people have him as second greatest of all time. I think he's starting to fall. I think he can fall. He wins the longevity award. He's phenomenal for long term. He's one of the greatest players of all time. But he's only won with super teams, and he had to leave Cleveland the first time to get these super teams. We're going to win 4, we're going to 5, we're going to 6. They win 2. They underperformed in other ones. We'll get into this later, I guess, with Michael Jordan comparison.
Yeah, thank you. I wanted and get with it's 2025 for crying out loud. Michael Jordan has been gone for 25 friggin' years, man.
But he's not. He still sells more shoes than anybody else.
He does.
Yeah, he's worth $3 billion. But no, it's the thing about this is, like, I would like to play with a LeBron type player. I feel like he tries to make the best play, but if you're trying to talk about you're the GOAT and you're a dog and you're, give me the ball, he didn't do that. He didn't do it last night in a pivotal game. He had 0 points.
Did you watch the game?
I did. 0 points. He played. He had a couple blocks.
How about them blocks? Okay,
in the game losing foul.
But the team, well, come on. I mean, that could have went
He hit
either
his wrist.
way
It wasn't his
too. No,
hand. He
he
hit his
got him.
wrist.
It was a foul. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not arguing it. But man, it took the replay to see it.
Yeah, real
But,
time.
but he had 28, 12, and 8. I mean, I know. I don't know what JJ was thinking about playing the same 5 in the whole second half.
Yeah.
They weren't doing anything in the fourth quarter. So why would you stick with it? You know what I mean? It didn't make sense. And now if he would have did it and they would have won, we would be saying he's a freaking genius,
Right, of course.
But it does not make sense. And this isn't 2020 hindsight. I mean, halfway through the quarter, you could see that there was a problem. So put somebody else in. So that was interesting. But the Timberwolves and Anthony Edwards, who he could be the face of the NBA in the next year or two. He's special, man. What do you think of his game?
Yeah, I think he's the best player. Was he 23, 24?
He's young, yeah.
Under 25. I mean, I know Shea Gilgeous is young, but man, I think he has more of the Jordan type Kobe, which I wasn't a Kobe fan, but Kobe was a dog and Kobe wanted to destroy you, humiliate you, and then humiliate you some more. Yep. And I think he has that same killer instinct, which you cannot teach.
No,
that's been the knock about LeBron. Again, LeBron is somebody you want to play with. He's going to make the right play. If you're he should have shot that shot. No, the right play was to pass it to Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves had 5 threes. He was wide open. LeBron would have a contested shot at the end of that game. I just think, when you're LeBron James and your team needs you, you had 0 points in the fourth quarter. And, yeah, J.J. Redick, who, by the way, LeBron chose as the next coach because they had a podcast together, or they did some podcasts together. He chose them. Okay,
JJ's been doing it. He's done a great job to this point, man.
They were like 10th until they got Luka Doncic. I mean, he wasn't doing a great job. You had LeBron James.
Okay, I'm going to have to – I got to correct you on that. When they got Luka and they had Anthony Davis, they were in the 4 spot, sitting in the 4 spot.
You know how that was this year. It's a little misleading.
I don't want to know.
The best to say that.
Anything against my Lakers, if your stats are wrong, I'm going to call you out on it, man.
Okay, fair enough. But, also, there are 2 games, the week before they were 10th. I mean, so it was so close. So it's a little misleading for me on that, but also you a little bit because, Golden State, 7th seed, and they were a 4 seed going into the last game of the season or 3rd seed. And so it was really tight there. But you cannot lose to the Minnesota Timberwolves in the first round as a higher seed with LeBron James, who's still, you said, averaging over 25 points a game. Still, he looks the same as he has. He doesn't look – there's very little slippage. And Luka Doncic in his prime. You cannot lose to the Timberwolves. And not only are they losing, they might get a gentleman's sweep. Probably won't, but they might get – lose 4-1. That's going to hurt. That's going to hurt him worse than any other, I think, failure because you have a top 5 player on your team, and there's just really no excuse. We're not talking about the East or the Western Conference Finals. The first round, when you have home court advantage, there's no excuse.
No, and Minnesota's a damn good team, though. I mean, let's face it, they're pretty good.
But no one had them winning this series. No one even had them winning more than 1 or 2 games. No, I mean, they didn't. I mean, not anything I saw because, because the Lakers were trending upwards and playing much better since they got Luka Doncic. And who knows? I think they said the Lakers all time with their great history, when they're down 3 games to 1, have only won 1 series in their history as a franchise.
Yeah.
And so.
But they go back. So what do? They go back. What is it? 3-1. Yeah, they go back to LA.
Yeah.
Then I think it's 1-1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the pressure will be on Minnesota big time if they lose LA, which they probably will. And then, so is it possible? This is a 3-1 series I could see flipping, but man. But yeah, I think Anthony Edwards great. Now, to your credit, Johnny, you're right. Detroit and New York has felt. I think this whole playoffs has felt like the 90s.
Yeah.
I feel like Houston's a 90s style team. The Warriors, who have been finesse, although they were always like a top defensive team, especially with Durant, they're very physical now, the Warriors on defense.
Yep.
And Then Detroit and Pistons have been very physical, but a total botch call. You can't bump it. You can't hip check a guy on a three with the referee standing 2 feet away.
I hate when they miss that.
In the game, they would have won. He got 3 free throws. He's a good free throw shooter, Tim Hardaway Jr. They would have won, and then we have a tied up series. I mean, that is just unacceptable. At least blow the whistle, and then they can challenge it. I know it's a lot to think of. Just call the foul. A foul in the first second is a foul in the last second. I hate when it's obvious. Not like it's like, I'm not sure. You got hip check. And the NBA came out afterwards like, yeah, sorry, we missed it.
They came up. That makes it even worse when they say that, I think.
Yeah.
But no, and I want the Knicks, but I give Detroit a lot of credit for what they've done this year. The comeback they've made, but I do want the Knicks to win. The Celtics are, they got the Magic 3-1, so the Celtics are gonna win that series. But if the Knicks win the Detroit series, the Knicks will play the Celtics. That will be a war. That'll be big time. As long as Brunson stays healthy, he gets in. He's got the ball 90% of the time. I don't know if you've watched the Knicks at all.
Oh yeah, I love watching Brunson.
Oh man. I mean, I don't know how he does it, but he's, he constantly is twisting his ankle and his knee and this and that. So he is a little bit banged up, but hopefully he's full strength if they end up playing the Celtics. That'd be great. And the Cavaliers, we have not mentioned the Cavaliers have been number 1 all year long, blowing teams out. They're blowing the Heat out 3-0. They made the Heat look crazy bad the last game, I guess. So, again, yes, do I want the Lakers? Yeah, I mean, it'd be great to see them. Do I want Golden State? Yeah, it'd be great to see them make a run. But, why not? I think we said this last week. The Cavaliers and OKC are they're a lot of fun to watch. They're young and very talented. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So, and then I don't know what it is. Like, I think even the Celtics, I actually like watching the Celtics. They kind of remind me a little bit of the Warriors, where they have a bunch of guys that can shoot threes when the Warriors are with Splash Brothers and stuff.
Yeah.
But they're not splashy. They're not
splashy. You're right.
They're just like, and when I say workmanlike, but they got guys you've never heard of, like Pritchard coming off the bench, and he'll have 6 threes. And Derek White had 31 the other night. And then Tatum is just this quiet Hall of Famer.
He really is.
He's to me the most underrated player in the NBA.
Right
no
now,
one
he
talks
is
about Jason Tatum.
No, because he's not. He's not flashy. And that's okay. Yeah. But consistent. So
I think it's very tough to beat in the East. But I would like to see Cleveland and somebody else. Or God, I mean, it'd be awesome to see the Knicks in the. Yeah. I don't think it's going to happen, but it could. But
they got a good team. They really do. But we shall see. But
good job, John.
What's that?
I know it's past your bedtime.
I know it's getting late. My gosh, I gotta get my my warm milk and head to the bed. All right, brother. Good show.
And again, follow us on all social media. We're on all social media platforms: TikTok and Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. Hit subscribe so you get. As soon as they're uploaded, you'll get alerted. So subscribe, and we appreciate you listening and watching.
All right.